and showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. Look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I'm executive editor of the ChannelPro Network, also a co-host of this program. I am joined this week, as I am every week, by your other co-host, Erick Simpson, a business transformation and improvement advisor to MSPs and other IT providers. Erick, are you feeling the holiday spirit?
I'm feeling frosty, Rich. I'm feeling the holiday spirit. I've completed all of my Christmas shopping. Now there's nothing left but wrapping to do. How about you, my friend?
We were just talking off the air as we record this. This is my last work day of the year, basically. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. But the first thing I'm going to have to do on my break is finish my Christmas shopping. I still have a little ways to go.
Yeah, Santa's got a lot of online helpers this year, so I'm sure you'll be okay.
I'm pretty sure I'll be okay as well. Well, you know what? Speaking of the holidays, Erick, so just a few days ago, you were kind enough to join us on the other podcast that I co-host, which is called ChannelPro Weekly. We recorded a holiday special show that will go out probably a few days after people are receiving this podcast. And the segment of that show that you participated in was one where the various panelists made predictions for 2023. And so I asked for those. I got them from the panelists. I did not actually make a prediction of my own. So turnabout is fair play, my friend. I'm going to make my prediction here, and then you can sanity check me or just provide your perspective on what I'm thinking. So here's what I'm kind of predicting. Might be a little bit out there. I'll be curious to see if we get any feedback from folks in the audience. One of the things that we have seen in 2022 is obviously the increase in the price of cyber insurance, the difficulty of getting cyber insurance. Basically, what's happened is the cyber insurance companies really didn't know how to price risk on these policies. They underpriced the policies. They took a bath. This is why it costs more to get coverage now, why it's hard to get claims through. So we're all familiar with that phenomenon. And one of the things that happened in 2022 is that the cyber insurance companies started collaborating, started partnering with security vendors, because the security vendors obviously not only have a much better sense for assessing risk, but in some cases, they can provide information, telemetry to the cyber insurer that can really help them in a quantifiable way measure that risk. So we've seen these somewhat informal alliances form between Trend Micro and Cowbell Cyber, for example, between IGI Cyber Labs, the folks who make Nodeware, and Cysurance, where they're partnering, they're trading information, they're trading expertise, and so on. My prediction for next year is you're going to see those kinds of more or less informal relationships grow more formal next year, meaning you are either going to see cyber insurance companies purchase MSPs and bring some of that kind of expertise in-house. If they don't have the expertise in-house to assess risk, well, let's bring some managed security experts in-house, and let's go out and have them assess these client environments, and then we'll know with some confidence what's going on and how risky those environments are or aren't. You might see some cyber insurance companies kind of sort of get into managed services. You might see security vendors buy a cyber insurance company, and I'm thinking of like a born in the cloud kind of cyber insurance company, not Allstate or something like that, but you could see a security vendor create or buy its own insurance company. You could see an insurance company buy a security vendor. I think you're going to see the next step in the evolution of this relationship between cyber insurance, managed services, and security vendors.
Well, that's a pretty bold prediction, Rich. I was not expecting that. And as I'm percolating on that, I'm processing it. I think that's a pretty good prediction. I've been involved NDA with some discussions with some vendors in the past and things like that wanted to enter into the cyber insurance market with other investors that wanted to create a cyber insurance offering for MSPs. And so I kind of understand, better than some folks, how difficult that is to launch an insurance company that's regulated and all the hoops and things that you've got to jump through. Buying one is one way to go, rather than building one from scratch. And a cyber insurance provider buying an MSP or an MSSP to bring that knowledge and expertise in-house is a very interesting thought. And of course, vendors purchasing cyber insurance companies as well to add to their portfolio of services. There's probably a couple that come right to mind that you and I have talked about on this program a lot, that are funded by, that are PE backed, that have a war chest to make investments like this. So no, I like your prediction, Rich.
Well, one of the wonderful things about making New Year's predictions like this, big, bold, risky predictions, is if I turn out to be right, I'm going to look like a genius. And if I'm wrong, no one's going to remember I said this 6 months from now. So really, nothing lost, nothing much on the line. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if things come together. Now, that sets us up for your tip of the week, Erick. I won't explain why, because I don't want to kind of spoil it. But I think doing what you're about to propose would be very difficult for you, but go ahead and tell people what your tip of the week is.
You honor me, my liege.
You know where I'm going.
Oh, thanks, Rich. So the tip of the week this week, Rich, I'm sure you've heard the adage, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. I've heard it said differently. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right? The tip of the week this week is to spend more time in 2023 with 5 people that are smarter than you. And I mean this from a business perspective. I think, there's lots of ways you can slice this. If I want to become a better, leader, I want to spend time with folks that I think are better leaders. If I want to be a better business person, I want to spend more time with folks that are running successful businesses. And for me, Rich, I'm trying to live that dream. I'm trying to do that for myself. There are folks that are way smarter than me in the channel. I'm trying to, I'm picking my 5, and I've already started, in fact, this last quarter, picking folks that I'm trying to spend much more time with so that I can experience different perspectives that allow me to improve my, my outlook, my ability to help my clients. Connections, that's a big one, right? These folks that are smarter than me, that are more well connected than me, can open doors for me and introduce me to other opportunities. And it has already begun paying off for me, Rich. So it's pretty amazing, the things that you think you know, or the things that you think you don't know. And then when somebody brings something that it's kind of like, oh no, take the red pill and I'll show you what the matrix is really about. And when we maintain our comfort level with our circle of advisors and things like that, or our friends, it's comfortable and it's nice. But if you're really going to build your IT practice, your MSP practice beyond what then you've got to not only just go to events and watch webinars and things like that. I mean, make a mental commitment to actually spend more time with 5 people that do things better than you do in different areas. And I'm going to share a quick story, Rich. I always talk about, one of the things that I'm known to speak about is kind of segmenting your clients into kind of an A, B, C categorization. And we always we seek out A clients, the best possible client, whatever that definition is for us in our mind. We'll seek those out. We'll accept B clients because we can work with them and hopefully help them become A clients. And then, as we build our businesses, we always have, the customers that have been with us maybe the longest, that aren't maybe the most profitable, that, comprise maybe this C customer segment. And I always talk about trying to, trade more A and B clients, for some of these C customers over time as we grow our businesses. And I got that idea from One of my clients, when I had my MSP practice, now this was a client that they ran a very successful accounting firm. And I was very immature in my business growth at that point, Rich. And I sat down and this was one of my first attempts to try to become a little bit more strategic and to try to grow a little bit in my business and become more valuable to my clients. And I asked my client, I said, Scott, what's your end game for this accounting practice that you have? What is it that you're trying to do? And he said something to me, Rich, that I'll never forget, because it was one of those, like, I don't know how to respond to that. He said, well, I want to be the highest priced accounting firm in Orange County. And this Orange County, California is where I live. They were in Irvine. And I went, that's interesting. I never heard someone say that they wanted to be the highest priced something, right? And again, I was very young and immature. And so that was interesting to me. And I said, well, how are you going to do that? And he said, well, every year I go through my entire client list and I separate them by A and B clients. And then the C customers that I have, I sell them to these other accounting firms. And then I raise my prices so that my next batch of new A and B clients are paying these higher rates. And I do that every single year. And it changed the way I do business. It changed the way I work with clients today. And it has certainly served me well. And that was, so after that, I started trying to spend more time with Scott and other clients that knew more about what I knew about business. And that's the way we get better, Rich. So, putting the advice into practice with a real world case study of my own.
It's interesting as you're talking about this, you are reminding me of a talk that you and I both attended very early in 2020 at a conference that Avik was hosting in Santa Barbara. Nigel Moore of the Tech Tribe gave a presentation, a lot of wisdom in that presentation. But one of the things I remember him saying is that you really want to kind of identify and weed out the people in your life who are sort of holding you back, holding you down, and spend more time with the people who make you more, make you better, excite you, help you grow. And it's very similar to what you're talking about. It's a slightly more professional, context in your case, but identifying those people who are going to help you be more and be better, and spending more time with them, and doing it, as you're saying, in a very quantifiable, a 5. I'm not going to go after 20. I'm not going to go after some loose number. Let's just start with 5 people who I know are smart and I will learn from, and spend more time with them. I think it's good advice.
Can you imagine having, breakfast or lunch with 5 individuals that are really at the top of their game every single month? I'll make time for that. In fact, I took Nigel Moore out to breakfast the very next day on his way out from that conference, Rich. So I was, at that point, I was, I'm still trying to better myself and improve myself. And I think that's the difference. We've got to continue to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. I was having a discussion with a client, a consulting call just before today's show, and he was asking me about how do we get, some of their technicians and engineers to really see things in a different way, that help them get better in the organization, in their role, but also to help improve the organization. I'm a recovering, engineer, as you know, Rich. So I know what it's like to be very set in my ways and to say no to most everything, right? Because I like things this specific way. And I shared with my client, I said, well, what we do is that we're all on the plane together. Nobody asks for more responsibility or asks to be pushed outside of their comfort zone, right? Typically, we do have a few folks that are really, getting after it and have that inequality, but most engineers will not do that. So we're all on the plane together. We just got to put a parachute on them and push them out the door. And that's how you get people to go outside their comfort zone and to adapt and grow. And that's exactly how I broke out of my kind of engineer mindset early on. I mean, I was, being forced out of my comfort zone, because of other responsibilities. And I some of the things that I knew I had to do, I didn't like doing. But after I started to, master them and get good at them, I started to enjoy them. And that's when I realized, oh my goodness, I've been in this box all this time. I need to be a better leader. I need to improve my people skills, my soft skills. I can improve in all these different ways. And, in addition to, being a better dad to my kids, being a better husband, once you start on that journey of improvement and you get real positive transformation by mixing with other people that you don't normally mix with, and having discussions that force you to reevaluate, how you think and what you think about things, awesome things can happen.
So if you are looking for a New Year's resolution, folks, there's a good one. And it leaves us with time for just one more story. And Erick, I could, given the holiday season and all, I could have looked for something that might be just a little bit cheerier, but I thought it was interesting to let the folks in our audience know they have all, probably 100% of them, have struggled to some degree in the last year to find or retain talent. We all know that in IT, there is an enormous shortage of good people. Well, it turns out it's not just IT. This story comes to us from Planet Money, the NPR program about finances. They did an interview recently with a guy named Mitch Allen, who is the founder and self-described head elf of HireSanta.com, one of the world's largest staffing agencies for holiday entertainers. And guess what? According to this guy, demand is higher than it has ever been before for Santas. His company has seen a 125% increase in demand for Santa compared to holiday seasons before the pandemic. And for every new Santa he signs up, they have got 20 clients clamoring for this guy to allow some people to climb onto his lap. So it's not just us in IT, folks. It's not just you out in the audience there, folks. Even people who hire Santas are having trouble finding talent right now.
Wow. And that's good news, right? That means that businesses are investing in things that bring joy, right? And organizations are investing in these events. And I think families that are, having, get-togethers and things like that are now, coming out of this cocoon that we've all been in the last couple of years. And I see that as a little glimmer of hope as we hopefully, knock on wood, continue to come out of the pandemic that we've been in the last few years. We're starting to see more events being scheduled on the agenda next year, Rich. So I think that's good news. I think I'm gonna maybe create a new measure. It's kind of like what is it when Poxitani Phil shows up, then it's 6 more weeks. I'm gonna say if we're hiring more Santas, probably better for the next year's world and economy. How about that?
It was just invented right here in front of you, folks, the Erick Simpson Santa Scale, and we'll watch it. It's going to show us how the world is doing. I like it. And you know what, folks, I kind of hinted before, taking the rest of the year off, basically. So this is our last show for 2022. We're going to be off for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back in the new year, first week of January, with a new show. In the meantime, I will point out once again that we are both a podcast and a video. So if you're watching the video, but you're into podcasts, go to wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it, you're going to find us there. Please subscribe, rate, review. We would very much appreciate it. And so would your peers, who will find us more easily that way. If you're listening to the podcast, but curious to check us out on video, best thing to do is go to YouTube, look for the ChannelPro Network channel there. You can again subscribe. If you click the bell icon, you'll also get notified when new episodes of this program become available. You want to get great business growth advice for your company, like Erick's advice about seeking out 5 smart people to spend more time with. What you want to do is go to ChannelProNetwork.com. We have got not only industry news for you there, but all sorts of great business growth advice every single day of the year. To learn more about Erick and the work he does with his clients, please visit ErickSimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. Once again, folks, we will be back, but it'll be 2023 when we are. So we are going to wish you happy holidays, happy new year. And in fact, we're going to wish you to enjoy the rest of your year, because Erick and I are enjoying the rest of your year already.
Happy holidays, everybody.